Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. We're going to talk about something that's both good and bad today, so we're just going to jump right in. Here is the initial tweet I found, of course, from Grums. It says, indie game at Soulash Game is being review bombed on Steam because the creator doesn't want to change the game to support same-sex relations. The creator, Artur Smiarowski, I apologize for probably pronouncing that incorrectly, is being called phobic and other not-so-nice things because he doesn't want to virtue signal in his game. I DM'd the creator, who said it's being repainted as me being against the LGBTQ, but I'm not. I took my stance against forced inclusivity in games. He is currently under attack. Check out his game and see it for yourself. Link in reply. Here's what's happening to Artur in his own words. I've heard people falsely claim I intentionally hard-coded a way not to have gay marriage in mods. I want to clarify that Soulash II is on a custom engine. That means there is no way to develop new mechanics or change the simulation through mods, but we have friendly in-game editors that can help add custom content from players who don't code. So in short, because he made his own engine, modding isn't possible. However, you have a person here who asks, you got plans to allow more modding options via code in the future? And he says, I have a wish to do so, but it would take many months. I've tried to hook up to Lua twice over the years, and I think I would need to employ another programmer if funds allowed. So it's not like he doesn't want to allow mods. He just doesn't have the time. He's an indie developer. He doesn't have the same resources a larger game might have. And there are, of course, a whole lot of really interesting replies underneath. A lot of people, basically saying that you can tell them other people where to go stick it and all that fun stuff. But I wanted to look further. Artur makes a post at 1:10 p.m. on August 24th. How many people would you piss off if you made a game how you truly wanted to? Let players inspire you, but do not demand how you express yourself. No boss, no publisher, no fucks given about reviews. That's art. That's worth spending years of your life to create. So he sounds very passionate about what he does, and he's very decisive and sets boundary. Now, a lot of times you'll hear people try to turn this around and say stuff like, well, that's what other people are doing. The thing is they're not. A lot of times they're doing what they're doing. Dustborn, for example. They're not doing what they're doing because they have a passion. They're not doing it for the art. They're doing it because they want to receive the praise of certain groups. When you eschew the praise of groups to create what you find beautiful and passionate, then that is true art. It's part of why the concept there is no politics in art exists. Yes, there might be politics in art because people can be very passionate about politics. But overall, art comes from something other than politics. It comes from somewhere indefinable, at least not definable by me. I do not have the correct words to put the correct concepts together. That doesn't mean when people say these things about someone who's passionate, it doesn't hurt or bother them on some level. Artur says, fine, call me intolerant, but I can't understand a person who looks at this screen and thinks, I must fuck everything that moves and have mutant babies. And please, I don't need to understand. Live and let live. And that's a really good way to do it. I mean, he's created a game. He knows that not everybody's going to love it. He loves it. It's the game he wanted to create, and he's happy with it. I hope he's seeing lots of success, and we will get further into what the game is later. Because, of course, I want to cover that so that people have an idea. I do like some of the comments underneath. It says, this one responds, but mutant babies does sound cool. Just saying. He says, $90 mutant baby DLC. And then, who thinks like that? Exactly. And somehow, I can't even politely say this is not what this game is about. And some extremists have to push this for a whole week while threatening me with cancellation. I really like this response. Ooh, I got it. We're bigoted against people telling us what to do. That's the rub. They're right. We're such horrible bigots against being forced and extorted to do things we don't want to do. How dare we come to our own conclusions and have overriding desire to be free? Best answer. Just going to go ahead and repost that right here. Artur goes on to, well, one might say, poke at the idea of flags. He says, my grandparents survived the Nazis. My parents endured communism. I had to live through religious oppression since the age of 10. And now some spoiled brats think I'll bend the knee to their rainbow flag or else they'll type some words. I already have a flag I'm proud of. And here you have the lovely waving Polish flag. Now, some people, of course, don't like this approach. You have Mr. Big Simple here, for example. Artur, I say this as someone who cares and would like to give you the benefit of the doubt that it is disappointing, disheartening even, to see you go down this route. Please for a second consider the people you would have made happy by including inclusivity for just a moment. Artur responds, we've got to know each other for a while now, and I appreciate you giving me the benefit of the doubt. Please consider that people around the world went through different shit to survive up to this point, and you can't have tolerance for intolerance because that's just living in oppression. That's how I feel at this moment. I spent a whole week stressing over not saying something that might offend a specific group of people I will never meet. I didn't sleep the last 2 days until I realized that this simply doesn't fucking work for my mental health. So my message to these extremists who demand me to subscribe to their ideology is to live and let live, or fuck off. I hope you'll understand this has gone too far, and while it receives some well-deserved pushback to normality we can all live with, we can remain friends. Big Simple responds again, I can understand what you're going through and empathize, but understand, the kind of people who are supporting you right now are the kind of people who would take pleasure in the suffering of most of my close friends. Artur says, then find a way to meet halfway with reasonable people, because if you demonize your entire opposition, you will never find peace. Live and let live is reasonable. No matter what labels or slurs people use, the minority of extremist people will wish harm upon others everywhere. And of course, the usual suspects find this kind of a very reasonable and normal mindset to be entirely intolerable. They can't possibly imagine that somebody might have just, made a game with some simple mechanics in it that they don't see the point in changing because honestly, they can go make their own game if that's what they want. This game in no way harms them. However, because this fellow made a game with certain types of mechanics that don't allow certain things, you have comments like this. Meet halfway with people who would be glad to see my friends no longer exist? Hi, how do I meet halfway with people who want to see me dead? The problem with this is, look at what the man actually said. The people who want to see them dead, quite literally, are the extremists. They are not the majority. Most of us, while we may not agree with their lives, just want them to leave us alone. We want us to leave our kids alone. That's it. We don't want to go out door to door and harm anybody. That is not what we're about. That is not what we're in for. We just want to live our goddamn lives, and we want them to live their lives without having to feel the need to tell us all about it and make us express some kind of fake acceptance for their feelings. It's ridiculous. You have all sorts of just awful comments of people jumping to the absolute extreme about what this guy's talking about because he made a game. And this is the same thing that if he was to change it and people were to get upset about it, they'd say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Apparently it does matter because they're taking a lot of time to attack this guy. Simply because he wants his game to be the way he made it and not bow to them. Because for them, it's not about acceptance. It's not about anything but control. And since they can't control him, they want to try to destroy him. Thankfully, they do not have the power they think they have. He does provide context in his response to the overall controversy. This is my response a week ago. After that response, a week-long activism campaign engulfed all our community channels. So I showed my teeth. The oppressive people left, and now we can continue to have fun in peace. Here you have the original post. Hey Artur, thank you for your hard work. I'm a queer fan of your game and wanted to ask if same-sex relationships would be possible in future updates. I know other devs, like the ones who made Medieval Dynasty, said they considered it too late to put it into the game. I just wanted to see if it was something on your radar or if it would be safe for you to implement in the future. Thank you for your time and dedication to this game and this community. Artur responds, the main purpose of the family system is to create a legacy through children, and given our limited ways to interact with NPCs, I don't think there's a good way to represent relationships, so I don't plan to expand that right now. More expanded interactions were something that players wished was a bigger focus of the game, but unfortunately it would take a long time and probably the removal of the conversations and dialogue systems to turn Soulash 2 into The Sims, as well as the other games I'm already trying to mix. We're going to have to see if I ever get excited about it, but right now I'm too pumped to go to war to delay it any further. Literally, that is like the tamest, least offensive response a developer could possibly give. Yeah, not right now. Maybe someday in the future I'd have to change too much. I'd have to add too much. What's to get upset about there? Is it the fact that he pointed out that it's specifically for building a family through children, which same-sex couples would have a difficulty in creating? The insanity of it all. Oh, and this is hilarious. For context, he hard-coded the game to not allow same-sex relationships, so modders can't add it to the game. Well, modders can't add anything to the game. There are some settings that you can change with, but as he said, it's not something because of the way it's built. It's modding in the normal coding way isn't possible. And instead of just saying, well, okay, maybe down the road when you have more time or something, they turn into apps. I mean, they just go off the freaking edge, guys. What the hell? It wasn't even mean. He didn't say anything derogatory. He didn't say anything cruel. And you'd think that he had said that it was unnatural or a crime against God or something. But no, he didn't. He just said, I don't have the time to devote to it, and I would have to change other resources, and it would take months, and I'm more interested in this other stuff. Totally calm and reasonable conversation. Oh my God. One of the people involved in this, I guess, attempt at cancellation campaign has pulled up a review and says, oh, it gets better. There isn't even a need to refuse queer marriages on the basis of we want players to build a legacy, and we can't do that unless the marriages are all straight, because in Soulash 2, babies are distributed via the stork system. I had high hopes for the future development of this game, as it appears to have great potential. Unfortunately, I can't recommend to support this game while its developer is signaling racist and anti-LGBT politics in his design choices. Oh my God. Okay. It seems to me fairly simple to unlock the marriage system and allow players to form interracial or same-sex marriages with NPCs. Was there some kind of racial lock? There need not be any restrictions on the player's freedom to develop our worlds the way we like, and implementing this as a hard-coded restriction is a clear statement of catering towards the biases or preferences of a certain section of the players base to the exclusion of another. So apparently they have to cater to you, but they can't cater to anybody else. If they're not catering to you specifically, that's wrong. All right. The in-universe explanation for births is stated as to be delivered by stork. This indicates a more fantastical representation of reproduction and not one based in hard biological facts. Therefore, it would be trivial to allow the same-sex couples to also receive stork babies. It would be similarly trivial to allow interracial couples to receive stork babies corresponding to the race of either parent. I wonder if they realize that that is very likely just a metaphor and not actually what's happening. Probably not. These type of marriages don't need to be represented automatically by the simulation. It does not require the introduction of adoption or surrogacy systems. All it would take is allowing players to choose any spouse that they like with no additional consequences. Planting your feet on this choice is a clear middle finger to the LGBT player base and to anyone who wants to create their Soulash worlds the way they want. Update, I have reached out to Artur to try and reach an understanding, and this prompted him to go on an unhinged nationalist rant on Twitter against the degenerate race mixer. What? What? Okay, guys, I seriously went through his timeline for I don't know, like 20 minutes. I scrolled down, I looked through different tweets, and as far as nationalist rants, hold on. This is the nationalist rant I found. I don't see anything about race mixing or anti-LGBTQ or anything like that. I see this. This is what I see. And I am so confused right now how they get from this to what they just said. It makes less than no sense. And in the end, none of this matters. In the end, literally none of this matters, because what matters is that it's his fucking game. He's fucking designing it. Why does it have to cater to you? Why don't you just go play another goddamn game? If it bothers you that much, do what you keep telling us to do and go find another game to play. Is it really that hard? I don't think so. I do it over and over again. So because of this whole thing, I did find Artur has a pinned tweet basically talking about how he got where he is in general previous to right now. If you're wondering how successful was Soulash game and what it took to get here, I bring data, some advice, and a little about me and how I got here and what it took to make it. I worked on Soulash for 7.5 thousand hours over 5 years. After all asset costs, store costs, and taxes, I earned $14.95 per hour as of today. This includes Steam, itch, GOG, and Patreon over the full duration, including EA. Speaking strictly in terms of income per hour, I ended my career as a systems architect/team lead when I released Soulash, and I was earning twice the rate in web dev than in indie dev. But then I started working on Soulash. I was a PHP developer earning 6 times less. An hourly rate makes sense in a job that has a predictable income, but not so much for a full-time indie dev. So instead of $14.95 an hour, I like to think that I earned about 25 months to continue making games. During that time, Soulash might sell enough to get me maybe 3 more months. If you like numbers like me, you can probably see this doesn't add up. 7.5 thousand hours over 5 years to make a game earns enough to game dev for about 4.5 thousand hours. This is why I will always say success is subjective, and everyone has to figure it out for their situation. Wow, that's actually very wise. Soulash released with over 2,000 Steam followers and 16,000 wish lists. Aside from the actual release, the best thing that affected these numbers were Kickstarter, despite failure, and the demo. The Steam page was up for about 8 months before release. I've set my marketing budget to $0. I did this part on my own. Tried Reddit, which was okay-ish. Twitter, good. Imager, big fail. Tried some forums, and I've updated every version to Rogue Basin, which was good. Soulash was available on itch as paid alpha since 2019 for 3 years in total. The game was vastly smaller in scope, the graphics were ASCII, and it cost $10 at first. Before releasing the alpha, I released a 1-hour demo with cut-out pieces of the starting area. If you're wondering why hundreds of players would pay $10 for an ASCII roguelike, your guess is as good as mine. But I did dare to ask, and I didn't cave in under criticism. I allowed myself to not rely on the success of the game due to having a day job, so courage came easy. I am not exactly a solo dev. I employ a graphic designer since 2021 when I decided to push Soulash towards Kickstarter and eventually Steam. I also wouldn't get here without my lovely wife, who supported my game dev dream for 14 years, despite major financial troubles. Soulash was not my first game. I've had one commercial game before that I lived off of for 2 years and many failed prototypes. I've been failing for over a decade and will keep failing in the future. 5 years ago, I started by building my own engine, thinking it will serve me forever. I already had 9 years of programming experience back then. Now I have a high-quality code base with a deep understanding of how everything works that I'm reusing for the sequel. I use Toggle Track to measure the time while doing my tasks, and Jira to organize and estimate future work. Whenever I sit to tinker in the game, I always know what to do. It saves me time. I can work about 2,400 hours, full-time indie dev per year, and I always have over 1,000 hours of tasks in my backlog. I put almost all player ideas there too. I reordered once in a while based on what I believe is best improvement to cost ratio. Some ideas will never get implemented. I do run Jira sprints for myself on a weekly basis. I don't force myself to stay on course, but I want to plan what I wish to accomplish short term. Watching devlogs every 2 weeks works great too. It keeps me disciplined and keeps me chasing a short-term goal on the treadmill. Some players demand that I keep working on Soulash so they can keep replaying it forever for their one-time payment. There were few so angry that they wished me dead. It's a very high pressure, but ultimately I don't want to do this at all if I have to be a slave. After releasing a game on Steam, it can feel like you have hundreds of worst possible bosses, all believing they have permission to treat you like crap for their $15. What I learned is it is important to focus only on positive players. They will give you the same feedback too. Discord is much better for having a civil conversation with players than the Steam community. Over 1,000 people on the channel, and I had to resort to banning only once in over a year. Context matters, so I'll tell you a little about me. There was a time in my life when I played games 16 hours a day for a whole year, and it helped me get past a very rough childhood. I love games, and I'll continue making them, even if I have to get a job again. I finished my education at high school. I taught myself programming by making a web game in 2010. For a moment, I even earned livings selling items on D3 Auction House. I started a web dev career at 25, getting paid $300 a month, around minimum wage in my country at the time. When I began my adult life, I was completely confused and poor. I know what it means to choose between a pack of cigarettes and a loaf of bread at the end of the month and submit to your vices. I promised myself I will never be poor again, and I will prepare my kids better. It is funny to reflect on a 5-year-long indie dev journey that began when we started a family. I wanted to show my kids that hard work can lead to fulfillment and that daddy is not a loser. Today, my 2 kids are my biggest fans. I sacrificed a lot, but not my family. I worked 70-hour weeks, I didn't cheat, and I gave my all, both in my day jobs and my side projects. There are no easy, painless ways to get what you want. For me, the major sacrifices were health, friends, and free time. Everyone has to make theirs. We have the same time in a day. You would think that beginning to write a custom game engine in a language you don't know the day your firstborn son comes into this world is the worst idea. But here we are 5 years later with a successful game. It's never a bad time to start your indie dev journey. I hope some of this will be helpful to you if you're considering taking a similar path. I certainly wish this was available for games I was inspired by. There are some things I would like to share regarding publishers, but I'll leave that for another day. Thanks for reading. And that is honestly an amazing story. So much work, dedication, passion. You can hear it all in those words. I am heartily impressed. All right, so let's take a look at this trailer. Definitely an old-fashioned type game. Not gonna lie, it reminds me a lot of Sim Earth in terms of the coloring and the UI. Cool, you can annihilate entire civilizations. Okay, that's awesome. Take a look at some of the stills. I know a lot of people who would probably find this very fascinating. It's very eye of the beholder in some ways. Reminds me of I played a multi-user dungeon of Mud back in the day where, it was all text, and that box is giving me those feelings. I do wish there was some more images demonstrating how you do the attacking and stuff. So this game is early access. There is a demo. Let's take a look about the game. In a realm where gods have perished and a new era of strife has dawned, seize power, forge legendary artifacts, conquer the world, and ascend to the divine throne in Soulash II. Immerse yourself in an innovative blend of sandbox role-playing and traditional roguelike genres. Conquer an expansive fantasy world. Embark on daring expeditions to challenge formidable beings. Craft extraordinary artifacts. Amass a fortune as a merchant or a thief. Feed the starving population as a farmer. Or construct a monumental pyramid amidst the desert sands. Conquer the world. Each world in Soulash II is procedurally generated, complete with a simulated history. Generate unique settlements shaped by trade routes, character life cycles, resource extraction, food consumption, occupations, wages, and the triumphs and tragedies of war, all before you etch your own legacy into their annals. Let's see what the curators are saying. I bet there's something interesting in there. Interesting. Follow turn-based tactics, Dwarves of Gaming, Rainy's recommendation. DEI detected. Oh, okay, that's recommended. All right. Runner streams, actual roguelikes, historical lows. Interesting. Oh, and then there's one guy who says you shouldn't buy these games. This might be a good one to go and look at in the event you... Oh my God. Dev went on a huge homophobic rant on Twitter just for being asked if he could add gay marriage to the game. Don't know what's up with him as he gave a fair... It also makes sense why this person doesn't have any followers. I really love these. Dang, it was a good game. Dev is an ass, unfortunately. This is something I don't understand, and maybe someone can explain it to me in the comments. I don't care what the other... This is a single-player game, so why does it matter what people who... If people who disagree with me play it? Can someone give me a reason that makes sense? If I don't have to actually interact with other people in my game, why does it matter if people I don't like play that game? Because if I was to actively stop playing every game the people I don't like play, I could never play another game again. I couldn't, because there are so many people who disagree with me on something that I passionately believe in that I would literally not be able to buy another game again in my entire freaking life. That makes absolutely no sense. Either way, you will find all the information for this down in the description. Please leave comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think I have a wrong read on this? Everything I see basically tells me that the dev is probably a pretty cool, chill dude who lets people have their own opinions and just wants to get on with his life and develop his game. And is standing for his right to be able to develop his game the way he wants to. And bravo to him for that. It's honestly not the type of game that I would play. I know people who would probably enjoy it. If it looks like something you would enjoy, I encourage you to check it out. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Look forward to hearing them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.